Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Hello and welcome to Golden State Media Concepts Relationships Podcast, the Sex Edition. I'm your host, John Johnson. You know what? I want you to grab your partner. Ladies, listen, grab your man, and I want you to do something real special and freaky for him. You know what I'm talking about? Put on some sexy clothes, just throw it on him, and watch that surprise look on his face. You know what? 5 minutes of sex for a man, and he will jump through hoops for you because that's what it means to him. I'm telling you. And you know what would also be a real interesting treat? You wonder what turns a man on? It's actually his own woman. I mean, men fantasize about things all the time, but if you've ever thought about it, here's your invitation. Take some boudoir photographs, something special for your man. Father's Day is coming up, and it would be a really nice treat for you to get some photographs, some sexy photographs taken, and you to present it to him as a gift. It is the gift. He will never forget something like that. And that's special. And you know, it doesn't matter your age or anything like that. Say if you're older and you think that your body's not perfect, ladies, don't let that stop you. There are plenty of things that you can put on that you look pretty and you look sexy in, or even if it's nothing at all. And there are people that could take pictures for you like this. You can do some selfies. I mean, nowadays with computers and the things that you can do with them, you can put together your own photograph album. But if you don't want to do it that way, you want to get a professional to do it for you, there are plenty of quality. There are good photographers out there that can do that sort of thing. You look around, you do some looking, and I promise you do something like that, it will never be forgotten. Or here's another idea that will really spice up your relationship. Do some photographs together. Again, there's a lot of things you can do. You can do selfies because you can set the timer out there and you can have it focused on you and you do the pictures and put together a little photo album. Just something for the two of you. Something to spice it up, make it interesting, make it fun, creates great memories. You know, and again, it doesn't matter your age. Hey, you know, here's something else that I've been reading. And not that I'm ever surprised at stuff like this, but, you know, I always encourage sex. And I don't care how old you are. And the older, and if you can still do it, it's good. Because you either use it or you lose it. And I'm dead serious about that. You either use it or lose it. And here's the thing. People into their 60s, 70s, and 80s are having sex. It is a part of their life. Now, sex isn't always about intercourse. So we can redefine what we call sexual. Because when you're younger, you know, you're kind of taught intercourse. That's the thing. That's what we're all striving for. But when you get older, you know, you sort of redefine things. I mean, the boundaries of that tend to expand, and that's age. Age teaches you these sorts of things. So oral sex is great. I know women like it. They really appreciate it when a guy does something like that for them. I mean, men sort of have always had that fantasy that a woman would just automatically do that. And some women aren't comfortable with it. Okay. So it's something that they don't necessarily do very well. Some don't. Some are great at it. Guys, if your woman is great at it, don't ask her where she got her skills. Just embrace it. Just take it as a gift. But I think as a man, one of the gifts that you can give your woman is to explore her sexually and be a little uninhibited. You know, just ask her what she wants and then give it to her. Give it to her in a nice way. And when you get it going, and see, here's another thing too, especially when it comes to being sexual. One of the things that men do, and I'm a man, sometimes men assume that they know it all. And this is where, when you want to ask your partner, what do they like? Try some things, experiment, use feathers, wear costumes, do some role playing, create some safe words. Cause that's another thing that's really important about role playing is, you can do some freaky things. You can do the withholding thing and she could say no. And you say, oh, and beg for it and so on and so forth. Like I say, create some safe words so that when you get into that zone and somebody's not feeling comfortable, it's a safe word, and the safe word means to stop and respect those boundaries. And because remember, you're trusting each other to take care of one another. Got it? Okay, so now on to some other things here. And I'm going to talk about having sex for the first time with a new partner. There's obviously anticipation, and I don't know how often, you get caught by surprise about that first time, because I think you've been imagining it, you wanted it, and some of the things to look out for. Okay. Safe sex has been mentioned time and time and time again, but I'm going to recap real quick. Condoms. If you haven't been tested for STDs, AIDS in particular. So you definitely want to protect yourselves and discuss your sexual history. If you have genital warts or anything like that, understand that you're not necessarily protected from that. If you have anything like that, you need to know that if you have an outbreak or you feel like an outbreak is coming on, that's not a good time to be sexual. So that's just a caveat there. Have that conversation. When you are going to be sexual with somebody for the first time, understand that there's going to be some anxiety there. There's definitely some anticipation. It can be fun. And guys, if you're younger and the woman is younger and she's inexperienced, it's really important that you be gentle. Take it slow. Make it a good experience for her. Because a lot of women have heard that their first time it's not very exciting. It's painful and a lot of things like that. So learn to use patience. And ladies, I'm going to say this to the younger people. Guys don't necessarily know a lot. They just hear from their friends, and it's just a bunch of jock stories. And unless they have really done a lot of research, and I don't know a lot of young men that do this, they usually watch porn movies and they watch these actors go at it. And there's not a whole lot of learning. And that generally does not translate. That doesn't transfer from the fact that they see it on the movie and then try to perform it with you. So guys don't know a whole heck of a lot. So sometimes you have to take control of the situation and make them slow down. Because young guys are just excited at the fact that they get it, that they're having sex. So what happens? They can seem to get it up a lot. They can probably have lots, maybe multi-orgasmic, but that doesn't make them very experienced at being sensual. The caressing, the making the woman aroused. Now, older guys tend to be a lot better at it, and this is a message to the younger guys. This is why a lot of younger women like older guys, because when it comes to the sexual part of it, older guys know how to handle themselves a lot better. They've been through the situation and they're more relaxed. They know that they're going to have their orgasm in the end. They don't have to rush it just to get it. So that having been said, ladies, know something about your bodies. Know a little something about what you want in your experience, what you have found pleasurable, and communicate that. Make that a part of the experience too. Remember, we're talking about some of these first time things, and have that conversation. Be okay with it. Set time aside so that the two of you can have your privacy. Because you want that. You want that moment to be something special for you. I'm going to take this moment, have a commercial break, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Golden State Media Concepts bring you Book Review Podcast, a haven for bookworms of all ages and the widest genres, from mystery to memoirs, romance to comedy, fantasy to sci-fi. If you love to read, this is the podcast for you. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Book Review Podcast.
And we're back. I think one of the nice things to do is to actually say, take a nap together. I mean, that's a nice way. I mean, you don't have to just have sex right away. Share some time together. Do whatever is necessary to feel comfortable. Getting in the comfort zone. Go eat. Do something special for each other. Express your feelings. And when the conditions are right, then you can kind of slide into being physically intimate. See, intimacy is a mood. I mean, you can create that. And the spontaneity isn't always about rushing. It's really about taking your time. And that's what sex is. Take your time, learn something about yourself, about your partner. That's intimacy. That's the one-on-one connection. And these are the times in which you make that happen, because this time is special for you. Remember, you're going through the effort to bond with this person, and that's what you're doing. And there's nothing artificial about this. This is what human beings have done. But I think what happens is that we don't understand that this is what's happening beneath the surface. We just tend to go through motions and then look back and, okay, I guess we have a relationship now. No. I mean, this is how you have a relationship with somebody. You take the time with them. You discuss things. You take it easy. You get to learn something about them. And some of the requirements for great sex is being able to communicate verbally and non-verbally about all kinds of things. You need to understand your needs. You need to understand your partner's needs. And if it becomes one of those things where, and I found this exciting, is while you're anticipating working on your sexual relationship, there's a lot of things you can do research together. You can look at books together. You can attend seminars together. That's an interesting thing to do. And I talked in one of my other podcasts about workshops. There's understanding your Kundalini energy, tantric workshops, couples things there. You can look this up on the internet. There are all kinds of workshops for couples to increase their intimacy. And that is a really, really good way of starting out with new sex, with a new partner, and attending something like that. And once you spend the time doing something like that, there's quite a bit of buy-in from your partner when you do that. A lot of these things cost money, and it could be a weekend, but what a great way to have that part of your relationship blossom. Doing a seminar about coupling, relationship stuff. And guys, if you really want to impress your partner, your new lover, with something in this area, it's about doing this kind of research, because this is grown-up stuff here. When you think about attending a class together, a weekend class, it could be one evening, but something like that really shows a woman that you're interested in having a really great sexual experience with her. This is personal, because not too many guys actually do this kind of thing. I know women oftentimes are the initiators of this kind of experience. Sometimes it's out of desperation. Some people are naturally curious. But guys, if you take the initiative and do something like this, you're going to win big time, because it's one of those things I think women think about, but they imagine guys just being not interested in doing something out there like this, because it does require you to invest yourself. You have to be vulnerable. You got to talk your feelings, and that may, even for a guy, seem like a really, really hard thing to do, because guys don't do that a lot. But remember, this is new sex. You're going to make this different. You're going to make this special. And this is how you do it. You do a little research. And I'm not talking porn videos. I'm talking about, there's a lot of educational material out there. You can go to a bookstore, not just an adult bookstore, but I'm talking a regular bookstore, and look up things that have to do with better sex. Everybody knows about the Kama Sutra. There's Kundalini. There's Tantric Yoga. There's stuff for people, for all kinds. And I'm saying, avail yourself of something like that. And wouldn't it be interesting? And I'm talking to the guys now. Wouldn't it be interesting that if you had some brand new information like that and you drop it on your partner, she'd be really excited. Do that. Now, ladies, here's the thing. Understand that your man is really making an effort here. And I think either way, appreciate the fact that he's getting way out of his comfort zone, if he is. And if he's a guy that's naturally out there, that's doing this sort of thing for you, you have a winner. And love him all the more. Because when guys generally tend to stay what I call really middle of the road on this, they don't tend to venture too far out without a lot of permission. I mean, guys run it up, they talk a lot. They think they're jocks. They do all of that. But nah, that doesn't make them good lovers. They're just good talkers. It takes a while before a man is a really good lover, because then he knows it's not about his looks. It's really about how he cares for a woman is what makes the difference. See, the outward appearance thing is something that guys learn when they're teenagers, because when they're in elementary school, middle school, high school, they learn that they get attention because they're good looking, or they're wearing their dad's cologne, or it's about all of that stuff on the exterior, because they haven't quite matured to the point where even they themselves are examining somebody on the inside, because they're looking at women the same way. They're looking at the girls who are cute on the outside. So it's just a veneer. But when they start doing some of this inner work, they can have conversations about that. And that's when it becomes interesting to be with that person. But that takes some maturing. And guys, I'm talking to you about this now. Remember, it's not about how it looks on the outside. It's about who you are on the inside. And women have been taught now, they're taught to look for this. This is what separates you from the rest of the guys. This is how you do that. And when you're doing that, then you're going to be the one that everybody wants. Because I guarantee you will be very interesting, because you will just ooze that charisma. That's what comes from something like that. You carry that with you. That persona, when I say persona, I mean that's who you are. That's sexy. That's exciting. You carry it with you. It becomes part of your new sex. It's part of your maturity. And if you ask women what they like about older men, it's that they're kind. They're kind and they're thoughtful. See, young guys appear to be after just one thing, and that's just to have sex. See, older men know that they don't have to do that. So younger guys, remember, this is your key right here. It's about being thoughtful and being kind. Women appreciate that. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back after the commercial.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello, welcome back to Golden State Media Concepts Relationships Podcast, the Sex Edition. I'm talking about new sex in this particular podcast. I'm talking about having a new partner and about having some creative ways in which you can create some special memories, get something new going. And so that the guys, that you're not cliche, that you're not like every other partner your lover has had, your new lover has had. You can take a class on romance and intimacy, tantric sex, kundalini, tantric yoga, that kind of thing. Just getting outside of the box. It's fun. Think about it. You're doing something new with a partner, and I think your partner, you get great buy-in. A lot of guys, when they think about having sex with a new partner, they're thinking about, that porn video. It's an image in their head, and it's a starting place. Okay, we want the costumes, no costumes, whatever. You talk about it, and it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff. Let's say you're anticipating and you're talking about it with your new lover or potential lover, and you create a lot of arousal, a lot of anticipation around it. But think about one of the suggestions I just mentioned about having taking a seminar on lovemaking and connecting with your partner, learning to be able to look at each other, right into each other's eyes, and hold that, the caress. Let's say a guy is sitting and then having your partner sit on your lap. No penetration, just sit there and just gaze into each other's eyes. See, that's how you build a bond. That's how you build a connection. And you don't have to wait and learn that. You're learning that now because I'm telling you about it. Women really, really appreciate that. Because how many guys actually do that? A lot of guys don't. Again, because a lot of guys picture the porn video in their head, and that's not necessarily romantic. I mean, it's action-packed, yeah, but remember, when you're doing the new sex thing, you kind of want to at least, you want to ease into this and make this something that is going to be interesting. And not something that she's feeling like, okay, well, this is probably going to be a one and done. And, great things can happen. And guys, the reason I talk about taking your time and planning this thing out, because this kind of thing happens. Guys get performance anxiety around something like this because they think that they have to be the best that she's ever had, and you start doing risky things that really don't amount to much other than just a bunch of thrusting, and that's not memorable. Most guys do that. So in order to be memorable, we can think a little bit outside of the box. You may have to spend a little bit of money, but that's okay. That's perfectly okay, because also you're getting the experience out of it too. And if you happen to have had that conversation with her, don't talk about the size of the other guys, because women really don't want to discuss that kind of thing. Okay? I don't know if anybody's ever told you, but I'm telling you guys, it doesn't matter how big your member is. Most women will say that it doesn't matter. Not all, but most. So, because even to talk about something like that, it makes women feel uncomfortable, for one. And it kind of shows a lack of security. It shows the insecurity. Because it's really about your skill set. And I've given you plenty of tips in this particular program about what to do, how to approach the situation, how to be calm, and what some of the older guys do as compared to younger men. Remember, younger men tend to run it like it's a sprint. Older guys tend to treat it like it's a marathon. And the differences are startling. So if you're thinking about how you want to approach new sex, a new romantic partner, a new lover, a new love interest, make a list of the things that I've talked about and be creative in your own right. Add some things to it. In fact, you'll get a list and you'll have so many different things that you can choose from. It'll be like, okay, what do we want to do today or next week? And hey, it's part of why we do this, because we have lots of choices. We have lots of options. And nobody wants to be stale. Nobody wants to do something that they've done hundreds of times already. I mean, even if it's sexual, even if you enjoy it, at least give it some variety for your sake and your partner's sake. I mean, I'll tell you this, when guys, pay attention. When women have a good sexual experience, the women friends can tell. They can tell. And women will comment. And when it comes out, maybe she might not give a whole lot of details, because some women don't necessarily talk in depth about their life in that way, because they like to keep it private, because they don't want to be part of the gossip thing. Believe me, you will get hero points. You'll be remembered in a good way. And that's always good to feel like that. And hopefully she'll share that with you. Ladies, remember to share something like that with your new lover so that he will be proud. Yeah, it strokes his ego, but men like that. But I think the thing that men want to feel as though that they are important to you, that they are significant, that they have made you feel good. Men really do take pride in that. I know there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of negative things that you can say about sex and men and their own desires. And sometimes they don't listen very well because they seem to be driven to have an orgasm, and that's it. I think men are trying to learn, and that's why the guys are listening to this podcast. And if you have a guy, have him listen to this podcast. You two listen to it together and come up with some ideas. Let it be a starting place for you to be creative in your sexual experience. And guys, women's kind of love is different than men's. So that's why I've done all this talk here, to help you get into a different mindset and to help with your communication. It will help in your love life. Take some of the suggestions that I've mentioned on this podcast. I'm John Johnson. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Relationships Podcast, the Sex Edition. I want to thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.